Greetings, DMs, GMs, and players. This is the Insomniac GM, and tonight, is Halloween, and I'd like to give you guys a little update on what I've been up to on Halloween. So, some months back, I pitched to my players of my Pathfinder 2nd Edition game for Halloween running a one shot using a different game system just for one day. And I let them vote on what we were going to do, so we went with Call of Cthulhu. And so I prepared a module from Fear Sharp Little Needles, and I waited. Well, a few nights ago, my brother and his friend came over and they stayed the night for a few nights. And I recorded my video on actual monsters, talking about how I mentioned like several times in the video, I've never run the game. I hope to one day run it. Well, we got into the discussion of the game, and my brother's friend had never played a tabletop game before, and he's a huge horror buff, and he got sucked into the idea of playing the monster in a movie. So instantly, him and my brother got like sucked into the idea of playing actual monsters. So my brother ended up making a Saw-like character with all their traps and that, but made them like a I don't know, electronic spider-like person. He had multiple limbs. He could fuse like some objects to his body. Like he could grab a sword and meld the sword into his hand. Um, he also he also could climb walls, and it was all about crafting and like hacking into computers and all that. And then his friend ended up creating a pretty accurate version of Ghost Rider. Now, the second they finished their characters, they jumped on the opportunity to play actual monsters. So before my video actually got uploaded talking about actual monsters, I got to play it finally. And the game was fun. We played it from 10 to like 2:30 at night on Halloween. And what I will say is it got late and I had to run the Call of Cthulhu one shot. So because of that, I started speeding things up in actual monsters. And if I didn't run the game so late, um, I wouldn't have tried to speed things up like I did. It's like my one regret. But even though I sped things up, like, yes, my players even noticed, we had a blast. And my players, they realized the way they made the characters, um, they left themselves open for great vulnerabilities. And they got excited about playing the game again and learned from those mistakes to the point where my players actually asked to print out about like 6 more character sheets so they could continue to create more characters for the future, which I actually have them out. They wanted to keep them here for the next time they're over. But my my brother's friend fell in love with the game. Both of them right away said they were going to buy it. And my brother doesn't jump on buying RPGs like that. And the fact he wanted to jump on like really means something. he even said it was now his new favorite RPG, which previously it was Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So that's what happened with actual monsters. Now, Call of Cthulhu, we ended up waking up. We ended up waking up like kind of early, and I ran a few errands, and then we played at 12 o'clock, 12 to 4, and I got my regular Pathfinder 2 group, and my brother's friend, we didn't want to leave him out just sitting there not playing, so I invited him to play. So he joined in. So now this is his second RPG he ever got to play. And I didn't want my players getting attached to their characters that could be so vulnerable to die. So I went online and I found pre-generated characters, and I just rolled on a table to decide who gets what character sheet. So I passed those out to my players online, and one of my friends got he got the old, I guess you could say, boomer in our group, and oh my gosh, like that player is so great with role playing, and I'm so glad he got that role because he had a blast with it, and he's all into his history, so he incorporated that with the character. But that was my first time running Call of Cthulhu, and that was the first time my players have played Call of Cthulhu. And to tell you the truth, I was not expecting to actually run Call of Cthulhu. Just for the fact that I've tried running it 5 or 6 times now, and every time I try to run Call of Cthulhu, something comes up that stops me. Like I had one time last year where I had 7 people who were gonna, or sorry, not last year, the year before. I was gonna have 7 people play Call of Cthulhu, and all 7 of them canceled on me. And then I got a backup group to play. And the only reason I went with 7 was because I was discouraged that I wasn't going to be able to run it again. Well, this other group I ended up bringing in, we were going to play it. They were my backup, and they all changed my mind and asked me to run 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons for them instead. Which I ran Ghost of Saltmarsh, and I was actually pretty satisfied about the fact I managed to scare them with that module, but yeah, so it felt good to finally run Call of Cthulhu. And one of my players, the game, like, he talks about that he wants to run is Call of Cthulhu. It screams for him, and him playing it, he actually fell in love with it. But in our Call of Cthulhu game, we did the module, and my players were all rather nervous, knowing how frail they were. But as they went on, they realized it was a lot of investigation, and like it was a lot more freeing for them than, say, Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, because it's not like I have to plan out a bunch of encounters and all that. It's where they want to go, how they want to go about this information. And so we ran with it, and the players all loved it. So I finally got to run these 2 game systems I've been dying to run. And it means a lot to me that I got to run them, because frankly, out of any genre, I love horror. And I love the idea of running horror campaigns. But my group like my circle of friends aren't as big into horror as I am. They're more, they gravitate more to power fantasy. And it enjoys me so much that these players loved not just one of these games, but they loved both. So in the future, I will be able to actually run both. And on top of running Call of Cthulhu, another game system I've wanted to run is Pulp Cthulhu, which for my players playing Call of Cthulhu, they've they've become excited about the idea of playing in Pulp Cthulhu now. So I just opened up the floodgates in my circle of friends a little bit more to more RPGs. So hopefully in the future, you guys will hear more stories. As for what happens in the Call of Cthulhu game and actual monsters campaign, Call of Cthulhu, I will tell you, I don't want to spoil the module, but it was called a special recipe or special menu in the Fear Sharp Little Needles module book. And as for actual monsters, I just did the standard, like a standard story of like essentially like the players are like these monsters who've been stuck in like hiding away in an abandoned hospital, and it's finally being demolished, so they need to find a new home. And as they go out, they start killing, and it brings more attention to them. So they start running and running, and it's a domino effect where everything starts coming after them. It ended up leading to the point where the players essentially trapped themselves in a house that was on fire, and the ambulance, the firemen, and the police all came. And like they could either die in the fire or run out into the open and pretty much get shot to death by the police and bring more attention to themselves, which that's kind of what ended up happening. I mean, they ended up getting attacked by dogs, what finished them off. So, but the players loved both of the games. So, yeah. What was your guys' Halloween plans? What did you guys do? Did you play any horror one shots? What happened in your games? What system did you run? Is there a system you're looking forward to running? What is it? I would love to hear system recommendations too. Until next time, you take care. Happy Halloween.